Parshat Korach. This year is dedicated to the memory of Rachel Bas Rav Chaim Tzvi. I would like to talk about the aftermath of what happened to Korach after Korach, his whole congregation, Dasan and Aviram, are swallowed up by the earth, and the 250 people who brought the ketoras, who brought the incense on the fire pan, are burnt with the fire that they themselves put on the pan. Turn to chapter 17, Parak Yud Zayin, verse 6, Pasuk Vav. Vayilodu kol adas b'nei Yisrael, and the whole congregation of Israel complained, mimacharas, on the next day, al Moshe v'al Aaron, against Moshe and Aaron, lemor, saying, Atem hamitem et am Hashem, you killed the nation of God. Vayhibik hel haidal Moshe ve'el Aaron, and it was when the congregation gathered against Moshe and Aaron, vayifnu al moed, and they turned to the tent of meeting, v'nei kisau ha'anan, and behold, the cloud had covered it, vayirah kavod Hashem, and God's presence appeared, His glory appeared. Vayava Moshe v'Aaron al pnei Ohel Moed, and Moshe and Aaron entered the tent of meeting. What exactly happens here? Bnei Israel just saw a miracle, a new creation. The earth opened up, swallowed the rebellious people living and closed up upon their heads. The Jewish people saw this and they were scared. They fled. And then a fire came and it burned 250 people. The people who were doing the test that Moshe set for them. Moshe had told them, if you really believe that you're the ones who should be serving in the temple, you should be serving in the Mishkan, then bring Ketorah tomorrow on fire pans, and Aaron will do the same, and we'll see who God chooses. If He chooses Aaron's offering, or if He chooses your offering. And the one whose offering is chosen is the one who God wants to serve in the Mishkan, to serve in the tabernacle. These 250 people had brought the incense, and they were killed. So it seems clear to the watchers that God has said, you're wrong. Korach, you're wrong. Dasan and Aviram, you're wrong. 250 leaders, you're wrong. I choose Aaron and Shevet Levi. But that's not the reaction of the people. They don't say, boy, they made a big mistake, and Aaron is right, and Moshe is right. Instead, they turn to Moshe and Aaron and say, you're murderers. You killed God's people. Not just that you killed the people, you killed God's people. You're the murderers. Not that God killed them, but you, Moshe and Aaron, killed them. How can the Jewish people say this? Didn't they internalize that? How could they not internalize the message that seems so clear? Ibn Ezra explains that the Jewish people actually were accusing Moshe and Aaron of killing these 250 people. Not that they literally murdered them with their hands, because it's clear that the fire came from heaven, but rather that they prayed to God to murder them. Or perhaps they knew some sort of hidden knowledge, hidden wisdom, and they used that to kill them. So the Jews were accusing them of killing them by prayer. Ramban says a little differently. He's based on Onkelos, and Onkelos translates that phrase, you kill the nation of God, as you caused the nation of God to be killed. And based on this, Ramban says that the Jewish people were not saying, Moshe, Aaron, you literally murdered them, because again, like I said, the fire came from heaven. But they were saying that you caused them to die because you gave them a test that was bound to kill them. What is Ramban referring to? He explains, who was the one who thought of the idea to bring the incense, the ketoras, on the machtos, on the fire pans? If you look back at the beginning of chapter 16, when Korach and his congregation comes and they rebel against Moshe and they complain against Moshe and say, Moshe, why are you the only leader? All of us are holy. Moshe says, we're told that Moshe here, we'll turn to chapter 16, verse 4. Moshe, it says, Vayishva Moshe vayipol panav. Moshe heard and he fell on his face. And then what does he do? He speaks to Korach and to his whole congregation, Lamor, saying, in the morning God will let you know who is his, that's HaKadosh, and who is holy, and he will bring him close to him. The one who God chooses, he will bring close to him. How? Zot asu. So you should do. Take for yourselves fire pans, Korach v'chol adaso, you Korach and your whole congregation. Utnu b'hen eish, and put a fire in them. V'simu aleim ketores, and put incense upon them, lifnei Hashem, before God. Machar, tomorrow, v'ya'esh asher yivchar Hashem, and it'll be that the man who God chooses, hu HaKadosh, he is the Holy One. Rav lachem b'nei Levi, you have too much, sons of Levi. After the initial complaint, Moshe tells Korach and his congregation to bring the incense the next day on the fire pans, to put a fire upon it, and then we'll see who God chooses, like we explained earlier.